Right, okay, I'm now going to be talking about different stock control. So this is the traditional stock control. This basically, I can't ever see them actually asking you a question on traditional. What it means is, but I still have to explain it or you don't understand the other side. What it basically means is the traditional way was to have lots and lots of stock like this. That's meant to be an arrow. And just like having a warehouse full of stock. That was the traditional way. You've got to try and think about what might be good and bad about that. So maybe you pause the video and think about it. Okay, so these are the good things and bad things about traditional stock control, where you have a big warehouse. Right, the first problem with it is you have to pay for the warehouse, so that can be really, really expensive. You've got to think, like, if you're in town and you had an enormous stock room full of stock, this would be costing the firm a lot of money. Now, normally I say warehouse, but it could just be a stock room. It's just got to be a place where you have lots of stock. Right, second thing, stock could go out of date. So you've got all this stock there, and then after a while, if it's food, it will go out of date. Like clothes could go out of fashion, that sort of thing. And the next one is just the cost to the warehouse workers or the stock control workers. You know, like, you can't just have these massive warehouses that haven't got people actually trying to find all the stock. So that'll cost you a lot of money. Right, but the advantages are, like, the first one is there's enough stock to meet customers' needs. Like, you know what it's like. I bought a suit today, and it was so painful going to try and buy a suit. Go to certain shops, and they just didn't have my size. But finally, I went to Next. Next had my size. Life was good. Right, next one. Buffer stock. So when it was really snowy, there was this one shop where I used to be when I was... where was I? I was in Cardiff, yeah. So I was going to go skiing in the Alps. There was only one shop in the whole of the UK that was selling snow chains because all the other ones had sold out. So that shop was able to put the price. I think I paid like 100 quid for these chains. Not once have I put it on my car. But anyway, the point is, it's always good to have some buffer stock just in case there's suddenly unexpected demand. So that's what's good and bad about traditional. But I've got to say, I don't think they'll ever ask you that in the exam. The next bit is what's really important. Okay, so this is just-in-time stock control. And I think you might remember this slide because it was this thing that took me about 3 hours to make. But let's face it, it was pretty pointless, right? But here's the definition down the bottom. The definition is, just-in-time production is where stocks are delivered only when they are needed. So they don't have any stock at all. They just, if someone orders something, then they'll buy the stock then for the product. So, for example, if you buy a Harley Davidson, they haven't got any in stock. They'll just go and order it and order all the parts. So instead of... Okay, so like I've just bought myself a Skoda Yeti. Now I'm very excited about my Skoda Yeti. I had lots of people tell me it's average, but I don't care. But I decided Mr. Robinson wanted it in red with a black roof. Now they didn't have any of them in stock, surprisingly. So they've had to make it completely from scratch. So we've got our first downside of this sort of stock control. Now if you look at this picture just quickly, there won't be any warehouses. I'll cross these out. They haven't got any warehouses of stock. What they've got instead is they just get their stuff delivered straight from the manufacturer, all the different parts, but they don't order any of it until they need it. So let's go for pluses and minuses of this sort of stock control. Right, one big minus is I'm not going to get my Skoda Yeti for 12 weeks. So that's 12 weeks where I'm, looking in the magazine for it, getting really excited, realising potentially that I might have bought the world's most boring car, but there's nothing I can do about it. I've got to wait 12 weeks before I actually get it. The second problem with it is if there is any sort of unexpected bad weather. Because if there's bad weather, you haven't got any stock in stock. So therefore, you might not be able to be delivered. So if you think about somewhere like, Asda. I can't spell Asda. There we are. Asda. If they don't have enough stock in, they'll try and order it in. But if there's suddenly bad weather, they won't be able to get any in, and that could be a real problem. Right, there's two really big bad things. Right, the big first plus thing is stock does not go out of date. Right, so you're not going to just have loads and loads of stock that you're just trying to get rid of. When you go to like a supermarket about 7 o'clock at night and they're just labelling things like half the price just to get rid of them, you won't have that problem with just in time. Right, the second plus point is that, what's another good thing about just in time? There'll be no wasted stock, which is kind of the same as the previous one, but still. Right, another plus point is you don't have to pay for warehouse workers, so no where. And that's a big cost you don't have to worry about. You also don't have to pay for the warehouse. All you need to do in this question, right, I'm going to switch to the next page, is to say 2 or 3 good things and 2 or 3 bad things. So is there any more bad things about just in time? To be honest, I think those 2 ones are probably the best ones. Right, this is a typical question for just in time. It's normally around about 8 marks. Whatever you do, it says, do you think this is a good idea? Some people will just say 2 or 3 good things and think they've done it. And if they do that, they'll get 4 marks. Because even though they say, do you think it's a good idea, they also want the negatives. So what I'd be doing is I'd saying the good thing is you don't have to pay don't have to pay for warehouse, so no warehouse. A second good thing is you don't have to have any warehouse workers. So I'll put no workers. And a third good thing is stock won't go out of date. Right, but on the negative side is you've got no buffer stock. So if there's suddenly unexpected demand, you can't do anything about it. Secondly, people might get annoyed and not actually buy the product because they don't want to have to wait. So customers may not wait. And then there is another thing. What's the other downside of just in time? So there's no buffer stock, customers may not wait, and well, that's it. If there's any unexpected problems like bad weather or I don't know, I have no idea. But let's just say bad weather for the minute. So you've got 3 good things, 3 bad things, as usual. What you do right at the end is you do a conclusion. So a good conclusion for this for me would be to say it depends on the sort of product you've got. So if you've got a food product, I'd say just in time seems to make quite a lot of sense, because you won't waste too much food. But there's certain products that actually, for example, if all you had was a really small product like paper, maybe it might make sense to have loads of excess stock of paper, because paper doesn't really change. It's not like it's going to go out of date. Anyway, God knows. But all I'm saying is it depends on the sort of product.